Imagine your entire life is one endless business lunch, but instead of steak, you're served the sole of an old boot, and you have to chew on it for about 6 hours a day. That was a typical Tuesday for our ancestor, Australopithecus, 5 million years ago. Back then, we weren't the kings of the wild. We were walking factories with rock-bottom efficiency. The problem with a raw food diet is that it's a total energy vampire. Squeezing calories out of woody roots, fibrous stems, and the occasional carcass required some serious hardware. Jaws like a hydraulic press and a gut the size of a steamer trunk. Enter anthropologist Leslie Ilo's expensive tissue hypothesis. Evolution runs on an incredibly tight budget. You can't afford to run a massive energy-hogging brain and an endlessly long digestive tract at the same time. You're either smart or you're great at digesting raw grass. For a long time, our ancestors went with option B, simply because there were no other choices on the menu. The hominid brain back then barely matched the processing power of a chimpanzee. About 400 grams of pure, unadulterated confusion. All our hard-earned energy went straight to the gut. We were hostages to our stomachs, slaves to endless chewing. If you think your 9 to 5 is exhausting, consider this. Australopithecus spent 40% of their waking hours just moving their jaws up and down. It was an absolute biological dead end. To grow a brain, you need surplus calories. But to wring them out of raw food, you have to chew even more and grow an even bigger gut, which immediately gobbles up those very same calories. We were like an ancient PC trying to run a modern game on the lowest settings. The textures are blurry, the processor is overheating, and it's lagging like crazy. Our entire social life boiled down to not becoming a leopard's lunch while sadly gnawing on a bitter branch. Ironically, this very dead end set the stage for the ultimate innovation. We were on the brink of a culinary startup that would change the planet forever, turning a hairy ape into a creature capable of contemplating the meaning of existence while scratching a well-fed belly next to a campfire. We needed a metabolic hack, a cheat code to outsource our digestion. But for now, our intellect was stuck at the level of a glorified brick. Nature was already prepping its first grilling masterclass, but it was missing just one spark. Why does size matter so much when it comes to guts? And how did a raw diet almost bury humanity as a species? Around 2 million years ago, a technological breakthrough occurred that would easily overshadow the launch of the original iPhone. Homo erectus conquered fire. No, our ancestor didn't invent a flint lighter. He just realized that a stray lightning bolt hitting a dry bush wasn't just a cue to climb a tree in panic, but also an incredibly handy tool. Cooking became the first ever form of external digestion in Earth's history. When you throw a slab of raw meat onto hot coals, real molecular magic happens. Proteins denature instantly, tough collagen melts into melt-in-your-mouth gelatin, and stubborn complex carbohydrates obediently break down into simple sugars. Fire literally does 90% of the dirty work for us. Suddenly, the digestive system didn't have to waste massive internal resources painstakingly breaking down raw fibers for hours. It was an evolutionary jackpot. If you only absorb 30 or 40% of the energy from a raw steak, you get nearly 90% from a well-cooked one. Erectus suddenly found themselves with a massive surplus of free calories. And this unprecedented profit had to be invested somewhere, fast. The body's biological budget was audited in an emergency overhaul. The long, useless gut began to shrink rapidly, while the brain grew like crazy. We quite literally ate our way to a cerebral cortex. Just look at the facial reconstruction of our ancestors before and after this culinary revolution. Those massive teeth shrank dramatically, the heavy protruding jaw became sleeker, and overall features looked much more human. We no longer needed fangs the size of hunting knives because a sharp stone and a hot fire butchered carcasses far better than any jaw ever could. The golden age of gastronomy had arrived. Imagine the pure, unadulterated awe of a primitive hominid taking a tentative bite of wild antelope that had been accidentally roasted in a recent forest fire. It was a pure eureka moment. But instead of Archimedes' tub, it was a smoldering forest barbecue. In the end, we became the only species on the planet whose basic anatomy changed so radically that we became biological hostages of our own kitchens. But this evolutionary trade-off was incredibly lucrative. Without regret, we traded massive intestines for the unique ability to plan for tomorrow, cooperate with our peers, and build genuinely complex tools. Our gray matter made a mind-boggling quantum leap from 500 to 900 cubic centimeters. This entire intellectual upgrade was funded by a simple grilled steak. Fire became our very first external organ, a sort of portable stomach the tribe carefully carried everywhere. But the most interesting part didn't happen inside the body. It happened outside. A bright flame required not just dry wood, but also good company to keep it going. The culinary revolution dragged us out of the dark of solitary animalistic chewing and straight into the light of collective intelligence. It turned the mundane act of refueling into a long evening ritual around the hearth. It was there, in the flickering embers, that the foundations of future civilization, tribal politics, and even the very social gossip we can't live without today were laid. But how exactly did a hot piece of roasted meat act as rocket fuel for our evolution? And why is modern man the only primate on Earth that technically cannot survive on a 100% raw diet? Fire didn't just give us calories, it gave us time. Before the hearth, our ancestors' schedule was painfully simple. The sun goes down, you crawl into a dark crevice, and you pray a saber-toothed cat picks someone else for dinner. But once we tamed the flame, the rules of the game changed forever. A protective perimeter of light emerged, a zone of absolute safety that fanged predators didn't dare approach. For the first time in history, primates had a wild new concept, a free evening. Before, you spent the whole day miserably grinding tough roots to dust. Now, you wolfed down a roasted calorie bomb in 30 minutes. That left about 4 hours before bedtime. What do you do in the pitch black when there's absolutely nothing to do? That's right, you socialize. The hearth became the world's first social network. Right there, in the flickering firelight, language was born. Alarm calls were no longer enough. We needed complex verbal structures to brag about the day's hunt or plan tomorrow's ambush. The campfire also demanded a strict division of labor. Someone watches the coals, someone gathers firewood, someone cooks. Essentially, it was the first corporate structure with clearly defined roles. And this is where abstract thinking woke up. Watching the dancing flames, which, let's face it, is the world's oldest television, hominids began to see shapes and patterns. The light turned a cold cave into a mystical shadow theater. We stopped being animals, simply reacting to stimuli, and became creatures living inside our own stories. Sharing a meal triggered a massive rush of oxytocin. We learned to trust not just blood relatives, but the guys we just shared dinner with. Hospitality didn't start with 5-star hotels. It started with a chunk of mammoth meat by a shared fire. Even our sleep patterns changed. We transitioned to monophasic sleep because we could finally sleep through the night without the constant risk of being eaten. But this comfort came with a steep price. The circle of light made us totally dependent on the group. Exile into the dark meant certain death. Loneliness became the ultimate punishment. Evolution molded us into a species whose survival depends entirely on the quality of our social connections. Fire warmed our bodies, but more importantly, it melted the ice between individuals, forging a society. Once we learned to harness the energy of fire, we didn't notice how it started controlling us. A brain swollen on cooked food began asking questions nature had no answers for. We created a world where food is too accessible, but our instincts remain stuck in the Stone Age, turning our greatest achievement into our biggest threat. But why did gathering around the fire matter more to evolution than the invention of the wheel? And how did that ancient TV teach us to talk? We are the children of the culinary revolution, and this lineage is literally hardwired into our DNA. Look in the mirror. We have tiny mouths and laughably weak jaws. Our anatomy is a love letter to cooked food. We no longer need massive fangs and bone-crushing muscles because everything has already been chopped, boiled, and blended for us. We are biologically incapable of going back to our roots and eating like chimpanzees. If you tried to survive solely on raw roots and leaves, your shortened digestive tract simply couldn't handle that much tough fiber. You would literally starve to death while chewing raw cabbage all day long. But here lies the bitter irony. Evolution did not prepare us for an obscene abundance of energy. The very mechanism that once allowed us to grow a massive brain is now working against us. The modern food industry is that same primitive campfire, but on serious steroids. We've taken the concept of predigestion to absurd extremes. Foods, all those crispy chips and melt-in-your-mouth burgers, are digested so effortlessly that your body is hit with a landslide of calories before your stomach can even text your brain, "I'm full, stop." We have masterfully hacked our own reward system. Sugar, fat, and salt are the holy trinity. In the harsh savannah, finding them meant hitting the jackpot and surviving. Now, that jackpot is just a tap away on a delivery app. Our brains still genuinely believe we are roaming the Pleistocene, and every high-calorie bite must be hoarded for a rainy day. We've become culinary junkies. The modern kitchen, with its microwaves and smart ovens, is a high-tech altar to that very first flame. But we no longer cook just to survive until tomorrow. We are manipulating our own biology. And here lies the ultimate paradox. Food created our brilliant minds, but those minds built a food industry that is now destroying our bodies. The obesity epidemic and diabetes are just the tax humanity pays for the luxury of not having to chew raw bark for 6 hours a day. We've made an epic journey from charred carcasses to molecular foam, but our primal instincts are still crouching right there by the embers. The history of cooking isn't about recipes at all. It's the story of how we first outsourced our biology to technology. We are the only species on Earth that upgrades itself using external tools. Fire was just the first step in this chain. Neural networks might be the last. We are obsessively searching for ways to make life even more efficient, faster, and more calorie-dense. But it's worth remembering from time to time that our vaunted intellect is merely the byproduct of one incredibly successful barbecue that took place 2 million years ago. We are creatures born of fire. And as long as this insatiable appetite for knowledge burns within us, we will keep evolving. The trick now is not to burn to ashes in the furnace of our own progress. How did humanity's greatest achievement become the leading cause of modern disease, and why do we no longer have the right to call ourselves just primates?